Starting in 1981, Motley Crue was a staple band in the emerging party rock scene that was growing in Southern California. Comprised of Vince Neil, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, and Mick Mars, Motley Crue quickly became a multi-million album-selling band, leading the way and defining what would later be known as glam rock, aka hair metal. But after the release of Dr. Feelgood in 1989, things started to unravel. In fact, things got so bad that they ended up firing Vince Neil and replacing him with John Corabi. But why? Why was Vince Neil fired from Motley Crue? But before we get to the real reason why Vince Neil was fired from Motley Crue, let me remind you that you're watching Retro Serial and I'm your host, Ian C. If you like all things growing up Gen X, movies, music, television, culture, and more, then you're at the right channel. Please do me the honor of hitting that like button, also hit the subscribe button, and please, if you like this video, share it on your favorite social media. Those three things right there are free for you to do, and they mean the world to us here at Retro Serial. If you want to go a step further and support us financially, that also means a lot to us, and if you're so inclined, please hit the links below to both the Patreon page and the Venmo page. With all of that out of the way, let's get to today's topic. The truth of the matter is that there is no real reason why Vince Neil was kicked out of Motley Crue. This is simply a classic difference of opinion. All parties agree that Vince wasn't enthused when he would show up to rehearsal. But the disagreement comes over to why he was unenthused about the rehearsals. The rest of the band felt that Vince was allowing his hobbies, especially his hobbies of race car driving, to interfere and cloud his commitment to the band and his commitment in general to music. However, this isn't Vince Neil's opinion. Vince Neil has said that he has always made music number one, but he wasn't enthused about the musical direction that Motley Crue was going at the time. He said that they were doing a lot more with backup singers, a lot more stuff with keyboards, and a lot more stuff with horns. Things that he said, this just isn't Motley Crue. And this led to the ultimate firing of him from the band. But that wasn't the end for Motley Crue as a band, nor was it the end for Vince Neil as a solo artist, nor was it the end for Motley Crue back with Vince Neil. As many of you know, as the story goes, Vince Neil went on to produce a solo album with legendary guitarist Steve Stevens, while Motley Crue hired John Corabi and produced a gritty album titled Motley Crue, which to me didn't sound anything like Vince Neil was describing the band was headed in. I don't know if they just had a change of opinion after Vince Neil left, but the album Motley Crue doesn't sound anything like horns and backup singers and everything that Vince seemed to be upset about. But again, maybe they had a change of opinion after Vince Neil left the band. However, the album Motley Crue didn't do so well. And let me just riff on this for a second. I don't think that John Corabi was the reason why that album didn't do so well. It had been a long time since Motley Crue had released an album, and the face of music had significantly changed. The advent of grunge and the explosion of the alternative rock movement really shook things up in the music industry, and people were just less enthused about metal as a whole. And I don't think that producing a grittier version of metal was the answer. In addition, I don't think that Motley Crue fans were happy with John Corabi. Not that John Corabi's a bad singer, in fact, John Corabi's arguably a better singer than Vince Neil, but that wasn't Motley Crue, and that's not what Motley Crue fans wanted. So I believe it was a combination of things as to why that didn't work out with John Corabi, and John Corabi was ultimately fired, but that's a story for another video. But in leaving this, I am very interested in your opinion. I want to know, did you side with Vince Neil on this issue, or did you side with Motley Crue on this issue? Did you like Vince Neil's solo album better than you liked Motley Crue with John Corabi? Those are the things that I want you to tell me and discuss in the comments section below. And I want to thank you for watching this episode of Retro Serial. I've been your host, Ian C. Please don't forget to hit that like button and share this on your favorite social media, and please subscribe if you haven't already. We are nearing that 1,000 subscriber mark, and every subscriber makes the difference. So I want to say thank you in advance for already doing that, and we will see you on another episode of Retro Serial.